Take one. What is up, beautiful people? My name is Clarishna. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be doing a story time that kind of couples with the video that I just dropped about why it's a blessing, why being raped was a blessing for me, and why, you know, it was one of the best things that ever happened in my life. I'm basically going to be doing a story time about the time that I was raped. I don't mean to trigger anybody, so if you're one of those people that may be triggered and you don't necessarily want to deal with those emotions right now, please go ahead and get off this video, because I love you and I want you to be straight, and I don't want you to be out here having, you know, inner turmoil and chaos just because of this video. I just want to go ahead and share my story so that if anybody would like to be able to get some from it, they actually can. Okay, so before, like, well, I don't know why I'm saying before, because I already started anyways. Before I get into like what exactly happened, I have to give you guys a little bit of background about me so that you guys can better understand the dynamic of this. First, I was raised in Haiti. I was born in Haiti, and didn't leave Haiti until I was 9, turning 10. I left Haiti in September and I turned 10 in October, because I'm a Libra, y'all. And this is important to know just because of the way that everything happened. The other thing that's really important to know is my father was a hoe, and he cheated on his wife with my mom. And I'm under the impression that my mom didn't know, because they still have not told me the whole story. So I was basically born out of wedlock to my mom. And this is important because my dad never left his wife, which led to other stuff. So with that, I have two sisters that are from my dad's side with my stepmom, and I have two sisters that is from my mom, one whom I share the same dad with, right? And this is, again, all very, very important. So the other thing is, my dad is cheap, and I need to make sure I say this. My dad is very cheap, and because of this, he's always looking for ways to actually save money. And again, I'm telling you guys all of this before so that you guys can understand things a little bit, and you know, so that things can make sense. I think I can go ahead with the story now. So I was raped January 10th, 2008. However, my birthday month, October of 2007, I had a dream that I was raped. And I remember the dream very specifically because I ended up having a conversation with one of my sisters about the dream. Because the thing is, as weird as it may seem, I get a lot of messages in my dream. But it wasn't, the way that things happen in my dream, it doesn't necessarily happen like that in real life. You know, it's almost like I get a glimpse, but not the full thing. And although I had the dream, I kind of didn't think the dream was valid, just because I was never by myself enough for something like that to happen. You know, I was extremely sheltered. My dad was extremely controlling, because y'all, I'm Haitian as they come. My dad was extremely controlling. I wasn't even allowed to have friends. So I kind of like, I saw the dream. I knew there was something to the dream, but I couldn't really put my finger on it, because the way that the dream happened, I felt like was impossible in real life, because your girl couldn't even go outside without getting beat, you know? So I was just like, how y'all, this doesn't make sense. But so January 10th, 2 weeks before January 10th, my father, 2 to 3 weeks towards the end, well, let me okay, so towards the end of 2007, my father decided that me and my little sister was going to go to Haiti for the first time since we have moved to the United States, which had been like 4 years. We're gonna go, and he was gonna take us to Haiti, and we're gonna get a chance to see my mom after not seeing my mom for basically 4 years. And I remember I was really excited, and I was really happy. my father, who I just said is cheap, decided that he didn't want to pay the full price for the ticket, because at the time we live in Central Florida, so he didn't want to pay the price for the ticket from Central Florida to Haiti. So he decided to buy a ticket from Miami airport to Haiti because it was cheaper. And since I have a sister, which is my dad and my stepmom's daughter, who live in South Florida, that he was basically going to come down here with us. We were going to spend the night here and then be able to catch the flight to Haiti the next day. That didn't seem abnormal to me at all, because honestly that had always been the gist of things. That's the way that it has always happened, and that's the way that I kind of expected it to be. So that didn't seem odd to me at all. So we went to Haiti, and it was awesome. Like, I saw my mom, I cried my eyes out, I was happy, I was eating food, like I was messing with my mom, I was able to hug my mom, because I'm very affectionate. So I had an amazing time. But the whole time that I was in Haiti, I didn't know what day we were coming back, because my mom is very, very superstitious. She's very Haitian. And she felt like if she told me what time, what day we were coming back, that I would tell other people what day I was coming back, and they would do some type of voodoo or some type of spiritual sabotage against me and the flight and stuff like that. So she refused to tell me, and I wasn't allowed to know what day we were coming back. I didn't know what day we were coming back until the night before we were coming back, when everything was basically being packed and stuff like that. So January 10th, we got to Miami airport at about 11 o'clock, 11:30 in the morning. And when we got there, my father went to go see how much a rental would be. But again, I told you guys my father is cheap. So once he saw the rental price, because the rental was basically not free, because if it was free he would have gotten it, but if it's money he doesn't want to, he decided that he was not going to pay for the rental to drive from Miami airport to my sister's house, which is in like the West Palm Beach area, and that he was going to wait for either my sister or my sister's husband to pick us up. Being that they were at work that day, that means that we basically had to stay at the airport until 5 o'clock or 5:30 or 6 o'clock, because they get off at 5 and they still had to come and pick us up. So we basically stayed at the airport until like 6 o'clock, right? And around 6 o'clock, that is when my sister's husband came to pick us up. And not to put his identity out there, so what name we're going to use? We're going to use the word, we're going to call him C, okay? We're going to call him C. C came to pick us up, and it was basically my dad, my little sister, and me. He came to pick us up. We all got into the car, and then he started driving, asking about Haiti, about how it was, and how we enjoyed our trip. He really wasn't talking to me and my sister. He was talking to my dad. But you know, there was just conversations flowing, and me and my sister was basically in the back seat, like just excited to not be at the airport anymore, excited to be back, because we knew we had to go to school and we wanted to see our friends and stuff like that. So we were just like really, really hyped in the back seat. And I remember something that C said that kind of took me back, it kind of like drew my attention a little bit. Like, it didn't take me back like, oh my gosh, did he just say that? But it was just like, it caught my attention, and it made me want to pay closer attention to whatever he was saying, because until then I didn't care about what he was saying. So he basically started telling my dad about this man that he knew, and he was saying how this man is a spiritual healer, and he felt like this man may be able to help my dad, because my dad have always had an issue with his foot, and because it never fully healed, everybody started to believe that it had to do with some spiritual stuff, like some some spirit is on him, which is why he had not been able to walk straight. I personally feel like it's because my dad don't take care of himself, and he eats like crap, but that's just my opinion. So they were basically talking about that, and C was basically telling my dad how this man can help and stuff. So my dad was like, I remember my dad saying, oh, that's cool, I'd like to try it out or whatever. And C was like, okay, if you would like to do that, I can take you to his house right now. Mind you, we have been at the airport like since 11 o'clock. I I did not want to go nowhere. I didn't want to go to nobody's house. I didn't want to go nowhere where a whole bunch of men was just gonna be talking about stuff that I don't care about. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go with them. So when I heard them say that, and my dad was basically up to going to go check this dude out, I was like, hey, C, can you drop me and my sister off at your house, and then you guys can go, you know, just so, you know, we're not in the way or whatever. I know we wasn't going to be in the way. I just did not want to be there. Like, for some reason, there was something in my soul. My intuition was like, Clarishna, you don't need to go there. This is not, like, it was like my soul was repelling it. Like, it was just repelling the whole idea of going to this location, to that person's house. But C was like, because of the location of where this spiritual healer person was, he was like, he can't drop me off at his house because it is on our way to his house. So in order for him to save time, energy, effort, gas, whatever, we would just go to this person's house and then go back to his house. I didn't want to argue, just because I didn't want to get I didn't want to get punched in my mouth. I didn't want my lips to get busted because I was trying to argue. So I basically got quiet and I ended up falling asleep because your girl was tired. By the time I woke up to us being in front of this massive, like, it seemed massive at the time, this massive house. It was a 2-story house. It was very shiny because all the lights were out. It looked very, very nice. And I remember I was looking up at everything, you know, like a kid in a candy store, because everything just looked very, very exciting. So as we're getting out of the car, I'm still looking. When the door was open, I saw C's little sister, who at the time was one of my best friends. So once I saw her, I was like, oh, okay, we good. You know, I'm not gonna be sitting here just like just being with these old men talking about their stuff because my friend is here. So I remember I ran up to her, hugged her. We sat on the couch because there was TV on, and she was there with a whole bunch of other people because apparently they were just like extra comfortable at this house. She was there with, you know, her older sister and stuff like that, and everybody was watching TV. So I'm like talking to her, excited, telling her about the trip and all this other stuff. And I remember there was certain things that was a little bit different about her, you know. She had gotten her nails done, she had gotten a phone, and that 3 weeks that I was gone, so I was like really excited for her, you know. I was just like so hyped. I was touching her phone, I was trying to use it because I didn't have a phone. I was allowed to have a phone, so I was just like really, really excited about it. So when we were sitting there, somebody came to us and basically told us that the person that my father was there to see was going to be with us in a second. He was just doing something. I again did not care because my friend was right there, and I didn't care about the stuff that they were doing. So we sat there for like, I think, another 5 minutes, and then he came out. He came out and he was really tall. Like, he was taller than my dad. And I remember he had braids, like he had braids going back, and he was sweating. And he came and he basically introduced himself as Peter. And he shook my dad's hand, and he proceeded to shake my hand too. Again, I don't know why, because we're not here for me. I don't care about you, dude. I don't even know why you're talking to me right now, but whatever. He shook my hand, and he basically was like, you know, I apologize. I was working out and stuff like that. He wiped himself off, I remember, and then he basically was like, okay, he's ready to have the consultation upstairs with my father. So I obviously do not think I'm a part of this at all, because I'm not the one that's sick. There's legit no reason for me to be there. So I'm sitting there talking to my friend, and I'm letting my father and C go upstairs with this man who has introduced himself as Peter to go and do their consultation. As they're going upstairs, my dad looked back and was like, Clarishna, you need to come too. Why? You know, like, I was just like, why do I need to come? Like, this has nothing to do with me. Those were all in my head, because y'all, as y'all would learn about me through story times, it wasn't necessarily that I was scared of my father, but I would have to move a certain way to make sure that I still had teeth in my mouth. So because of that, I had all these questions in my head, but I didn't say nothing. I got up and I followed them. when we went up there to the consultation room, this man, you know, talked to my dad and basically said he can do this, he can do that. Again, I don't know what he said to my dad because I was not paying attention. I was bored as heck. I was just like, why am I here? But then when he was done, he proceeded to look at me and he was like, you sick? I was like, what? I'm not coughing. I don't have no runny nose. I'm very energized. How am I sick? He basically was like, oh, you sick? I can see that there's something going on with you. I can see that you have a lot of demons and I can help you. And all of this other stuff, mumbo jumbo stuff he was saying that I was not listening to, because I was just like, this man is a crackpot. I really don't give a fuck about what he's saying right now because I don't even want to be in this room. We did not come here for me. So he had a whole moment, like he basically sent me and C out of the room, and I had a like quiet like one-on-one with my father. Well, we basically had to sit out and I had to wait. Then he proceeded to try to have a one-on-one with me, and but he was like, you need, like, can you stay here? Can you guys stay in town? Can you stay in town for another day because I may not be able to work on you today? And I was like, that's not up to me. That is up to my dad. You're gonna have to talk to him about that, because again, I'm 14 years old. I don't get to control these things, you know, especially not in a Haitian household. So I was like, you gotta talk to my dad because I can't make a decision of whether I'm going to be here tomorrow or not. So he was like, okay. Went and talked to my father. By then I'm back downstairs. I'm still talking to my friend. We're going over all these stuff, like all these details. I'm like using her phone to text my boyfriend at the time, who wasn't really my boyfriend. He was just a dude that I liked, but I was really hyped because I hadn't talked to him for 3 weeks, and I was just like, I was texting him. I was just like so hyped, like, hey, I'm back, you know, whatever, like I can try to call you in the house when I get home and stuff like that. So I was like really hyped. My dad was upstairs with this Peter dude and was upstairs for like a really long time. Then he came downstairs and sat down and he was like, Clarishna, you need to go up there. I was like, okay. So I still had the phone in my hand because I was texting my boyfriend at the time. So I still had the phone in my hand. So I had the phone and I started going upstairs. As I was getting to the top of the stairs, my dad was like, you need to leave the phone downstairs. And again, I didn't question it because I really didn't question my father much. Even though my father did some things that was extremely questionable, I questioned them at the time, but I didn't always question them just because I felt like it led to a whole bunch of stuff. So I had my feelings and I would just keep my feelings. But when he said to leave it downstairs, I was like, okay, that's fine. Went downstairs, gave the phone back to my friend, and then proceeded to walk upstairs. I walk into the room and Peter is sitting in the middle of the room on a chair. And I'm sitting as close to the door as possible because his vibe was just off. You know, like, I just felt like he was just weird to me. You know, and I didn't really care to get closer to him because it was just like something about our interaction was very repelling, you know, because I feel like, how do you randomly come up with, oh, I'm sick? When I came over here, when I walked to your door, I was healthy. So I don't know how I'm sick now or whatever. So I was just like, that was weird to me. So I'm sitting by the door and he starts asking me questions about school, because he was like, oh, you know how old I know how old you are. This man was telling me how old I was. He was telling me what school I went to, and then he basically started telling me, oh, what's that dude's name that you be talking to, or what's this, what's that. Like, he had all this information on me. So because of that, it kind of made me a little bit, it didn't really shook me up, because like being Haitian and having my dad like do voodoo my whole entire life, like that didn't necessarily, that wasn't scary to me. Like none of that was scary to me, because none of the spiritual things were scary to me, but it made it so that I was a little bit more trusting in what I was saying, what he was saying, just because he had these information about me and my schooling. He had these information about, you know, these things. And at the time, I didn't think that, you know, he had conversations about me. I just thought that he was drawing this from like a psychic place or something like that. So he basically started asking me about random dudes, like, oh, you know, that boy in school, and basically was asking me to write their name down. Again, I thought that was weird, but I followed the directions as he was saying. Then he told me to take off my pants and go into the bathroom and wash myself off. And I know you're probably looking at this and you're like, red flag, Clarishna, red alert, run the other way. But at that time, I was extremely gullible, and I basically kind of, it wasn't that I felt invincible. I just didn't think that I was in harm's way when my father was downstairs, or I was in harm's way when my father was the one that told me to go upstairs with this person, or I was in harm's way when basically like my family brought me here. You know, my family brought me here and this dude knows so much about me. So I didn't think I was in harm's way. So although there was a part of me that was like, why do I need to take off my pants, there was also another part that was like, oh, you know, you tripping, you know, everything's cool, you know. I was like, okay. So I took off my pants, kept on my underwear, went into the room and did as I was told. And as I was coming back into the room, and mind you, like, because I was uncomfortable, I was very like I was like shielding my body in a way. Once I was done, I walked back into the room to put on my pants, and he walks up to me and basically like stopped me midway to get into my pants. And he basically stand there in front of me like almost chest to chest. Mind you, just in case I did not say, this man was the same age as my dad. He was taller, but he was the same age as my dad. He comes up to me and he basically like is like right here next to me and come and basically tries to touch me in between my legs. The minute that his hand traveled down there, I stiffened up because I was just like, you know, like what the heck, you know, like I basically started closing off my body even more than I already was doing. So once he noticed that I started doing that, he basically got upset and he started yelling at me and basically was like, I'm trying to help you, you're sick, and I'm over here doing everything that I can to help you, and you're just acting like a spoiled brat. Like, he basically started coming at me just because I was uncomfortable about the fact that he was trying to touch my vagina. So when he said that, like, I kind of like, I could feel myself get a little bit smaller just because I don't like being yelled at, and my father having been very abusive to me, this was a trigger for me. And like when he did that, I just like, I almost felt apologetic, like, oh, you know, I'm sorry for trying to stop you from touching my vagina, you know, whatever. So he noticed that how my body language moved. Then he proceeded to continue what he was doing. My body's still like stiffening up. By that time, I'm trying to put some distance between him and myself. So like, I'm trying to get closer to my pants, you know, I'm trying to move the other way. So he grabbed me and started to push me into the bathroom, because there was a door that basically connected the room to the bathroom. So he started to basically push me back into the bathroom, and I'm like trying to go the other way. So we basically get into a fight. Like, I'm trying to get over there to my pants, he's trying to put me into the bathroom for whatever reason. We get, like, he obviously is stronger than me. We get to the bathroom and he basically picked me up and he grabbed those what are those bathroom things, the bathroom carpets again? I don't know what's the proper name for the bathroom carpets, but you know those carpets you be having in your bathroom? He basically picked me up, grabbed them, and put me on there, and they basically got on top of me. At that point, my mind, like, I'm losing my itch, okay? Because, like, I'm not able to get up. This man is heavy on top of me. He's heavy on top of me. I'm not able to get up. The way that my legs are on the floor, I'm not really able to move in any way to get myself from out of there. And he basically got me like this on the ground, and just like, and the thing is, he's laying on top of me, you know, like, it's not as if like he's putting his hands holding me down. He's laying on top of me. And I remember I was looking up at the ceiling crying my eyes out because I realized I was stuck. I was in harm's way, and there was not much I could do. So I was crying, and I was crying very loud because I was just like, like, get off of me. And because I was crying, like, he felt like I was making too much noise, and I guess he didn't want nobody to hear me. He went ahead and he goes and he stuck his tongue down my throat so that I could be quiet. And he proceeded to go ahead and penetrate me and move his body on top of me until he felt like he was done. And then he got off of me when he was done and ejaculated and everything. And then as he was getting up, he got up, he cleaned himself off, and I'm still like laying down, like just shocked at life, kind of like numb to everything, like I'm just like at that point I just like it's almost like my soul left my body. And he's like, you don't tell anybody what happens in here, because if you tell anybody, I will kill you. If you tell anybody, the spirits will kill you. I didn't hear none of what the fuck he was saying, okay? Because at that point I didn't know who the fuck I was, okay? Like, I was just like, I was dumbfounded, I was shocked. I was just like, I was trying to get my bearings, and I couldn't stop crying. Like, I could not stop crying because I was in pain. I was in pain physically, and I was in pain emotionally, because I was also in shock. It was almost like I had a dream. So I proceeded to put my pants back on, and he left. He went downstairs. I put my pants back on, and I come downstairs. As I'm coming downstairs, I legit could mop the whole entire 2-story house with my tears, because the tears that are falling down my face are falling down so hard, like, and I can't control them, because I wasn't even doing the crying like that, crying. Like, I legit had my face was looking like this, but it was just like tears, because I didn't know, there was just a whole lot going on. So I come downstairs, and I basically go and I sit down. Mind you, my whole mood from how it was completely changed, because before then I was excited, I was hyped, I was talking to my friend, but here I am coming downstairs crying, distraught, like I've seen a ghost. And I go and I just like sit down somewhere off by myself. Here's the kicker, okay? Mind you, downstairs was my dad, C, who is my brother-in-law, his little sister, who at the time was one of my best friends, my little sister, C's older sister, and 2 other adults there that was basically Peter's family. You would think, and a drastic change of behavior like what had happened from the moment that I went upstairs to the moment that I come down, and mind you, tears are flowing into my eyes, you would think that somebody would ask me what's wrong. No one in that house asked me why I was crying. No one tried to dry my tears. No one asked me anything. And I'm the type of person, whenever I'm going through stuff, I shut down to the world, and I like to go in, because I'm always trying to figure out why the stuff is happening the way that they are. So I was like in my head, trying to figure out ish, but nobody asked me what was wrong. So I'm sitting there, I'm still crying, I'm crying, and he obviously noticed, like, because he knows what happened. And he, I guess, started trying to like cover his butt a little bit more. So he asked me to go back upstairs, and had my best friend, her sister, also go upstairs too. And basically we're all sitting in the room. He's sitting in this big old chair in the middle of the room, and he's like, oh, you know, all of us are friends here, trying to make me comfortable with what just took place. All of us are friends here, you know, all of them belong to me. And he goes and he basically grabbed my best friend at the time, and she went and sat on his lap, you know, laughing and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there like my body is closed off to the world, my hands are cupped, like everything is just like really close together because I've been violated and I'm trying to protect myself. And he's over here trying to make me comfortable with this and that, and like I don't even say nothing, like I'm legit sitting there with a straight face, and everybody's just like laughing like he's so cool and stuff like that. So that happened, and then we go downstairs, we leave, and we go home. This happened on a Thursday. January 10th, 2008 was a Thursday. This happened on a Thursday. Because nobody asked me what was wrong, I didn't say nothing to anybody in that house. But once I got home, I basically grabbed a phone the house phone, I think. Or I think I borrowed my dad's phone. And I called one of my sisters, and I was like, he molested me. Because at the time, I didn't even know the difference between molestation and rape. So I said molestation, thinking that molestation means penetration, everything that had happened. I told my sister, she was like, okay, I'm gonna take care of it, just go home, go to sleep, and we'll talk in the morning. So I told her, went home, cried myself off until like my brain legit had to send me to sleep because I was just crying too much. And then the next day, because this story goes on for a long time, but I'm not going to go into it. I'll just let you know what happened the next day. So next day, I wake up in the morning, and C's wife, which is my other sister, wasn't the one that I talked to the night before. She called me into the kitchen. She was like, hey, our other sister, which is the one that I talked to that night, told me something happened last night. Do you mind telling me what happened? So I go and I proceed to tell her everything that happened. She was like, well, I talked to Peter, and Peter was saying something about boys and how you were talking to X amount of boys and all their name is on a paper. And I was like, what? Like, I wasn't talking to those people. Okay, garbage truck. I was like, what? I wasn't talking to those people. He was asking me different questions about guys that I knew, and I wrote them down. She basically pushed off what I was saying. She was like, you know what? Let's just forget about it. I was like, okay. And I walked away from her because I still had to get ready. Because remember, we are at her house waiting for her to basically drop us off to the train so we can go from Palm Beach to Central Florida back home. So I go back into the bathroom to finish getting ready, and as I'm in the bathroom, I hear somebody opening the door. And naturally, I went to go look who's opening the door because there was nobody else here. Like, I wasn't expecting anybody else to come to her house, and for some reason I was just curious. So when the door, when I heard the front door open, I basically pushed out my neck and was like, you know, trying to figure out who was coming through the door. There go Peter walking into the door of my sister's house. After she has found out that he raped me, after I've told her everything that happened, and she told me to forget about it, right? The minute I saw him, my body started to shake. So I ran back into the bathroom and basically tried to stay as far away from him as possible because I didn't even want him to talk to me. Like, I didn't want him to say hi. I didn't want to see his face. And finally, my sister went and dropped me and my dad and my sister and my little sister off to the train station, and we were able to go back. This story goes on for a lot more stuff because a lot more things happened after that, but that is the gist of the time that I was raped. Just some quick information just to end it all up. He is in jail. It took 5 years for me to actually have a trial. Turned out he was a serial rapist. Not only that, he was paying my family. He was giving C's wife, my sister, money. The reason why he knew so much about me was because he was having conversations with my best friend at the time, who, by the way, decided to go to court in defense of him and made up lies about me. Please let me know if you would like some more story time. But that's the reason why he had so much information about me, was because he was talking to people about me, almost as if like that was just his plan, you know. I think that was just God trying to direct him into the place he needed to go to jail. Okay. But yeah, so he was paying people. He is in jail. He is a serial rapist. He a super con artist, because Peter is not his name. He says that he changes his name based on who he wanted to rape at the time. And there's a lot more to it. I can even do a story time about when we actually went to court, how that was. But that is the gist of it.